maybe I should have bought the 570S instead, and then I wouldn't be selling at all. I would have been happier. To be honest, this wasn't exactly part of the plan. I made this big bombshell video. I'm selling my cars, you're never going to see the McLaren again. And then my very next video, I'm back in a McLaren Sports Series. Hello one and all, welcome to Seeing Through Glass and welcome to Tony's 570S, if it starts. Oh. It's one side of McLaren's that I will not miss. Right, let me get out of this tight parking space rather quickly, and then I'll explain to you why, after all of that, all that fuss, I'm immediately back in a McLaren. I'm headed to Mr. JWW's wedding. How ridiculous, how amazing that James is getting married. It's unbelievable. And even more unbelievably, he's very kindly asked all us car YouTubers to bring our cars to sort of put on display, I believe. I'm not really entirely sure, but of course, I said I'm more than happy to oblige. However, I then sold my car, well, I put my cars up for sale. So that kind of buggered up mine and his plans, but I did not want to let James down. And whilst I do still have the Abarth knocking around, I didn't really feel like it was kind of wedding, I didn't feel like it was special enough for a wedding. It's special enough to me. I'd love to have it at my wedding, but I think James would have been a bit disappointed. The 540C is sitting in Tony's showroom, kind of trying to be sold. So I didn't really want to put miles on it and the plates off it, and anyway, it would have been a headache to take. So luckily, Tony came to my rescue, as he always does, and said, why don't you take my 570S? So whilst I wasn't really planning on jumping into a McLaren Sports Series car quite so quickly again, it's quite a nice surprise. And what is bizarre is I haven't been in one of these cars for about 2 months, because my 540C has been sat at Dub Customs ever since my North Coast 500 trip with Supercar Driver. So I'm a little nervous that I'm going to drive this car and be like, what the hell am I thinking? Why am I selling it? But let's remind ourselves that this is the 570S and I own the 540C. And I've seen a lot of your comments saying, maybe I should have bought the 570S instead, and then I wouldn't be selling at all. I would have been happier. I doubt that's going to be the case, but I've got 36 hours to find out whether or not it is. Anyway, I've got the car, now all I need is my suit, and I can make my way to James's wedding. Well, I now feel massively overdressed for a YouTube video. Even got my tie or my blazer on yet, but just feels incredibly formal. I'm like Louis from Life on Unleaded. Anyway, here we are, 570S on some country roads, kind of where these cars really come into their own, because as I think Tony and I mentioned in my Behind the Glass podcast, there's something a bit missing with McLarens in town, in and around town. They sort of lose some of their buzz, where, for example, the F-Type, the 4C, a Ferrari is still exciting. It still gives you the tingle in the jingle, kind of no matter what speeds. But anyway, one thing which has kind of been getting to me, really ever since I got my 540C, but sort of recently, and basically it's just been getting to me, is the misconception that the 540C is just kind of like a cheap, crappy rip-off 570S. Essentially, there are three big differences. 30 horsepower, that's obvious from the name, 570, 540. A little bit less downforce than the 540, the diffusers are slightly different. and carbon ceramics. You can't even spec carbon ceramics on a 540, but then that's pointless because it's the same price as a 570, so I don't know why you'd do that. But out on the road, it's so hard to tell the difference. I freely admit it's been a while since I've driven either my 540C or a 570S, so I'm probably not best placed to make these kind of judgments, but I would thought, as I said at the beginning of the video, jumping into Tony's car, I might be a bit like, oh, maybe I bought the wrong car in the first place, or maybe I shouldn't be selling my car, but that's not really the case. This just reminds me of my car. Around track, I definitely am aware that the 570 would probably dominate the 540C, but on the road they are so similar, and I just don't think you can knock that little car. I know a lot of you will say I'm biased, but it just is, and really the only reason that I'm sort of saying this is because I don't want anyone to think that I'm kind of like slagging off the 540 by selling it. You know, of course there have been its issues. I'm not going to shy away from the fact that there have been some electrical gremlins with that car that frustrated me. They're all like tiny little sensor glitches that McLaren have fixed like that. Something was loose, a sensor was loose, or there needed to be a software update. So it's never stopped me from getting anywhere, but just little things. But in general, the car was incredible, and unfortunately, as I said, it's now at Tony's showroom, kind of in pieces. You know, it's been dewrapped, it's got no number plate, no insurance, I can't really drive it, so I can't really do a sort of farewell video. So that's why I wanted to make this video. All it is me driving Tony's car to James's wedding. But I was like, let's put a GoPro up and kind of reminisce about what was an incredible experience, my first ever supercar, and my ownership of a McLaren. And who cares that it was a 540C and not a 570S, as a lot of you seem to think was a big deal. Like, oh, if you'd bought a 570S, you wouldn't be selling it, it's the better car. I honestly don't feel that way. Honestly don't feel that way. I just think these cars are incredible for what they do. Incredible entry-level supercars, or sports cars if you want to call them. The sports series sports cars, I get it. And the way they perform in any situation is pretty amazing. Driving this car, it's filled me with happiness. All the memories that I have with my own car, because what an amazing 6 months, ridiculously short, time I had owning a McLaren. I've actually put a playlist together of some of my favourite videos that I made with the 540, but also just with McLarens in general, because I have had some amazing memories with these cars. Of course, there is the Volcano video, which set off the whole journey to my sort of ownership experience, but plenty of others. Some of the drives during the Top Marks Monaco trip, so I will be very sad to see my car go, and I'm very sad I can't do a proper send-off for you guys and for myself on this channel, but this is going to have to be our best option, driving Tony's car. It's very nice Alcantara steering wheel. That's one thing that I would have liked on mine. Who knows when I'll next be in the McLaren Sports Series? It could be next week. I didn't know I would be getting in one today, so I might be doing this emotional sign-off and then find out that actually I'm going to be in one for all of California. That would be a bit of a fail, but I needed to do it. I needed to romantically say goodbye to the McLaren brand in my life for the meantime. I definitely see another McLaren in my future at some point. I need to spend more time on a 720S. I don't know if I understood it properly during that test drive in Rome. I cannot wait to see if they're going to make an LT version of the Sports Series, like a 585 LT. So I don't think this is going to be my last ever McLaren, not this one, but the 540, my last ever McLaren. But it is definitely goodbye for now. So, yeah. I'm gonna cry. I'm not actually. Anyway, I better find my tie, find my blazer, put it on, and go and check out James's wedding. It feels quite appropriate going to James's wedding in a McLaren, even though he now has a speciale. Anyway, let's not get caught up in it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this sort of send-off video anyway. Give it a thumbs up if you have, and make sure to subscribe for plenty more videos to come.